In the legend of God of Destruction, Beerus Super Broly, and Kakarot Son Goku, I clearly chose the Saiyan with multiple forms, Kakarot. Yet I was ridiculed by all my classmates, called a worthless half-beast who couldn't even beat Teddy. Even my fiancé publicly humiliated me, and chose to break off the engagement. All because in this world where everyone awakens to Dragon Ball powers, everyone gets to choose one of 3 awakenings. But due to the lack of Dragon Ball culture, Kakarot's awakening template turned out to be an F-rank low-level warrior with the weakest starting power. But in response to this, as a hardcore Dragon Ball fan, I scoffed. At this moment in Jiangcheng First High's Awakening Plaza, I stood among the dense crowd, looking up at the gigantic awakening stone floating in the air. The 18th birthday awakening ceremony is, in this world full of abysses, monsters, and dimensional rifts, the only path to changing your fate. Buzz. As I awakened, a dazzling purple-black light burst out, a powerful energy wave stirring up a raging wind, making it impossible for anyone to open their eyes. 3 massive spiritual projections slowly appeared in the sky, an invisible pressure instantly enveloping the whole plaza. On the big screen, the rankings of the 3 options stung everyone's eyes. Option 1, Extreme Star Spirit, Demon Sabo. Option 2, S-Rank Star Spirit, Special Forces Captain Jinyu. Option 3, SSS Rank Star Spirit, Emperor of Ice, Frieza. The entire place fell silent for a second, then erupted into wild screams that nearly lifted the roof. Oh my god, there's actually an SS rank option. Linzu, the top school beauty, has ridiculous luck. Is there even a choice here? Obviously pick the Emperor of the Universe, Frieza. Starting at the very top, with world-destroying power right off the bat, Jiangcheng is about to produce a real dragon. I looked at the tall silhouette on the awakening stage. Linzu, the heiress of Jiangcheng's first financial conglomerate, and also my childhood fiancé. Right now, she looked like a proud swan, her chin raised high, snow-white, and noble. She reached out without hesitation, bypassing the first 2 projections, and placed her hand firmly on Frieza, exuding a purple-black evil aura. A stream of purple light poured into Linzu's body from the projection, her aura surging exponentially. She turned around, her gaze lofty, looking down from above as if she was a god gazing at mere ants, sweeping across everyone below the stage. A cold, arrogant smile tugged at her lips. Next, Suyu. The examiner's voice was so excited that it even trembled slightly. The crowd parted to make way. All eyes instantly locked on me. I wonder what options Suyu will get. With his theoretical talent, it has to be at least S rank, right? Definitely. He's Linzu's fiancé after all. If he awakened as trash, would the Lin family have chosen him? Amid the crowd's discussion, I calmly walked up to the stage. As a transmigrator, I have endured and studied here for 18 years. All for today. I took a deep breath and pressed my palm steadily on the awakening stone. Boom! At the instant my palm touched it, the once sunny sky instantly filled with dark clouds. Dark purple lightning coursed wildly through the clouds, accompanied by thunderous roars. The whole ground of the plaza actually began to tremble slightly at this moment. What's happening? An earthquake? Look. From the crowd, a piercing scream erupted toward the sky. 3 projections, even larger than Frieza's just now, 100 times more terrifying, forcibly ripped open the void, like 3 insurmountable mountains, descending above the plaza. That world-destroying pressure immediately made lots of students in the front row's knees buckle, causing them to collapse to the ground. The screen started to flash madly, turning a glaring blood red. Option 1, SSS rank Mythic Spirit God of Destruction Iruz. A giant purple-haired cat god, with a cold, indifferent expression, surrounded by a hint of glowing energy, purple destructive force that seemed capable of erasing a whole galaxy. Option 2, SSS rank Mythic Spirit, Super Demon God Broly. A being with mountain-like muscles all over his body, eyes glowing white, exuding wild green energy flames, a terrifying god of slaughter. Option 3, F-rank Trash Spirit, Low-level warrior, unknown half-beast. A skinny young man in tattered orange GI, with a monkey tail trailing behind him, appearing almost frail. Double SS's rank options. The examiner directly dropped to his knees with a thud, shaking like a leaf. The audience went completely insane, everyone looking at me as if I were a monster, their eyes filled with utter shock and madness. Double mythic class. And the pressure is even scarier than Lin Zhu's Frieza. This is a god-tier record breaker for all humanity. My god, Su Yu is about to defy the heavens. He can pick any SSS rank he wants, and become China's future #1 guardian god. He's basically a legend already. I turned back and glanced at Lin Zhu in the VIP section. Her once proud face now pale as a sheet, her lips quivering slightly, her eyes filled with jealousy and disbelief. She thought she was already the center of the world, never expecting that my options would completely crush her pride and her mythic option into dust. Yet inside I remained unusually calm, because in my mind, a crisp mechanical voice that only I could hear was responding. Ding! Detected multiverse spirit library. Host, please make your choice. Warning, God of Destruction Beerus starts with extremely high power, but is capped by this universe's rules and can never break the limit. Also, will never achieve perfect Ultra Instinct ever. Warning, Super Broly's power explodes exponentially, but with deep awakening comes massive mental backlash, leading to total loss of reason, becoming a mindless beast driven by slaughter. Hint? Option 3, Kakarot Son Goku. Starts weak, but has limitless growth and breakthrough potential at death's door. It's the absolute cheat code. Pick this option, and the system will aid you in becoming the only true god in the multiverse. Looking at the two beings in front of me, worshipped by all humanity as mysterious gods, the corners of my mouth curled into a faint, unnoticeable smile. For people in this world, gods of destruction and Super Brolys are the ultimate ceiling. But, as someone who knows the Dragon Ball system, I know the god of destruction is permanently capped. Super Broly is a mindless berserker, and only one has true limitless potential, constantly breaking limits, the Saiyan who thrives against stronger opponents. Amid thousands of expectant, even reverent eyes, I slowly raised my hand. I went past the almighty god of destruction, past the crazed Broly, and as everyone's expressions froze, I placed my hand firmly on the one spirit, whose only feature was a monkey tail like mine. But all the divine visions in the sky instantly vanished. Both SS rank gods shattered into showers of light, leaving only a modest orange projection, which merged into my body. The data on the big screen finally locked in. Awakener Su Yu has chosen Spirit S rank. Lower ranked warrior. Initial combat power is slightly above average. Level S. Extremely useless. The wind stopped over the entire Jiangcheng, awakening square of the first high school. It was so deathly silent you could hear a pin drop. A full 30 seconds passed. Then a wave of gasps of disbelief finally erupted, one after another. What did he do? He gave up 2 SS level deities, and chose an F-rank tailed monkey for show. Su Yu has lost his mind. There must be something seriously wrong with his head. The look of awe that was there before instantly turned into pity and confusion, as if they were looking at a supreme idiot, which finally evolved into open contempt and wild laughter. I actually thought he was some kind of genius. Turns out he's just a top-level moron. His combat power is lower than my family's poodle. At least it has some combat power. He chose a beastman with a deadly weakness, its tail. Even I could do that. Amid all the overwhelming ridicule, the rapid sound of high heels echoed. Lin Zhu stomped angrily onto the stage in high heels. His face, originally pale as a sheet, was now flushed red with absurdity and rage. Burning crimson. With a swipe, he pulled out that yellowed marriage contract from his pocket and shredded it mercilessly in front of the whole school, then smashed the pieces right onto my face. Su Yu, you're not just useless. You're a hopeless fool. Lin Zhu's eyes were filled with undisguised contempt, as if she were looking at something disgusting. You chose garbage over a deity, picking something not even as good as a dog. People like you with a broken mind aren't worthy of standing next to my SS level self. This engagement is void. faced with paper scraps falling like snow, with the whole school laughing at me like I'm an idiot. I felt no anger. I didn't even frown. I just quietly felt the weak but seemingly boundless Saiyan blood flowing inside me, then calmly looked at Linzu. It was the pity of the powerful looking down on ants, brushed the paper scraps off my shoulder, and said coldly, "You take max stats for invincibility, and see endless potential as trash. Linzu, all of you are just frogs in a well." I stared into her ambitious, arrogant eyes, with a cold smirk at my lips. Hopefully your Frieza, whom you're so proud of, can handle a punch from this piece of trash. After leaving First Blade High in Zhangcheng, I ignored all the people behind me, pointing and gossiping at me like I was brain dead, and went straight to the largest underground martial arts gym in Zhangcheng. This is where awakened ones usually train and take bounty missions. The moment I pushed open the gym's doors, the previously noisy hall fell eerily silent for a split second, then exploded into even more unrestrained laughter than at school. "Whoa, look over there. Isn't that the guy who just gave up double SS Mythos and insisted on picking an S-level monkey like a total moron?" Sue the genius. Can your F-tier beastman with a power level of 5 even move the lowest level sandbags here?
He didn't just get his engagement called off publicly.
His whole family got blacklisted by the Ling clan. If I were him, I'd find a hole to crawl into by now. Still has the guts to show his face at the gym, surrounded by ridicule and contempt. I couldn't even be bothered to spare them a glance. How could a sparrow understand a swan's ambition? Arguing with fools who see limitless potential as mere trash is a total waste of time. Expressionless, I walked through the hall, while the staff looked at me like I was crazy, and swiped my card for the gym's most private VIP. Independent training room. Boom, the heavy alloy door closed slowly, shutting out all the noise and laughter from outside. I took a deep breath, focused my mind, and brought up the system panel only I could see. System in use. Extreme gravity training room from the starter pack. Usage authority temporarily transferred to this training chamber's control center. Gravity adjustment cap removed. Current gravity, 1x standard Earth gravity. Host, please set the level. Set target gravity directly to 10x. I gave the order without hesitation. In the original Dragon Ball, when Goku first traveled to Namek, he did insane training under 100x gravity. As a newly awakened Saiyan, 10x gravity is the limit my current body can handle, and the best threshold for tapping my potential. Warning, 10x gravity far exceeds the limit of an average F-ranked awakened. Forcibly activating may likely cause internal organ rupture. Proceed anyway? Bang! As soon as that was said, the gravity generator in the chamber let out a deafening low-pitched rumble, and a formless, terrifying pressure, like a mountain of steel, suddenly slammed down on me. I grunted. My knees buckled, almost dropping to the floor. Every bone in my body, under the pressure, creaked painfully, as if they'd lock up at any second. Blood flow felt impossibly thick, while my heart, like an overloaded pump, thudded wildly in my chest, as if about to leap out of my throat. So heavy even lifting a finger took all my strength. But not only did I not back down, I actually forced a grin, the fanatical smile etched in all Saiyan's bones. That craves battle above all else. So this is the price of power? Feels incredible. I clenched my teeth, bracing my legs firmly on the alloy floor, and slowly straightened my bent back, feeling my blood start to boil. System, unlocking Kaioken skill. Ding! Kaioken activated. Ha! With a furious roar, the sleeping Saiyan blood within me was triggered by the crushing pressure, and fully ignited. Tendrils of visible dark red energy, like raging blood-colored flames, suddenly erupted from me, turning the grim training room completely crimson. That mountain-like weight on me was instantly lightened by the surge of wild red aura. But it's far from enough. Feeling power multiplying within me, my gaze grew even wilder. Saiyans are meant to keep breaking limits between life and death. True warriors. Double Kaioken, triple Kaioken, 10 times Kaioken. Boom! Wild red aura shot at the ceiling like a volcano's lava, the alloy walls of the VIP training room. Under this terrifying pressure, actually began to shudder, and even started to crack, with fine spiderweb fissures. In the heart of this blood-red storm, I can feel every muscle in my body, charged with explosive, terrifying power. The tail that was once seen as my fatal weakness is now filled with formidable toughness, swinging behind me like a steel whip. Time is ticking away, second by second. In this secluded room, I'm like a tireless machine, sweating madly under 10 times gravity, punching, kicking, dodging. Every move is breaking through the limits of this body. At a speed visible to the naked eye, shockwaves keep exploding in the air, forming rings of white sonic booms. After 3 hours, a piercing shrill sound, the highest level air raid siren, suddenly tore through the skies above Jiang City. I slowly pushed open the door to the training room. At this moment, the white shirt I was wearing is soaked through with sweat, clinging tightly to my body, outlining muscles like those of a leopard. Bursting with explosive power, the raging Kyokan aura has been perfectly restrained within me. But if you look closely, you'll see that every step I take leaves a shallow footprint. On the hard alloy floor, the surge of power means I still need some time to adapt and control it. I walked to the lobby and saw those awakened ones who used to mock me, now in utter chaos. One by one, their faces pale, staring at the holographic screen in the center of the hall, their eyes full of despair. The screen is showing aerial footage outside the city. A massive herd of beasts is flooding toward Jiang City like a tide. Nothing survives in their wake. Several gigantic flying monsters in the sky are breathing fire, turning our defensive lines outside the walls into a sea of flames. The news anchor's voice is trembling with undisguised panic, echoing throughout the Martial Arts Academy. Breaking news bulletin. A level C void rift has appeared at the northern outskirts of Jiang City. Preliminary estimates are that over 10,000 monsters are forming a beast tide heading our way. The military's first defensive line is in critical condition. Jiang City Defense Bureau has issued the highest level mobilization order. All awakened within the city must immediately head to the north wall to assist. Swear to defend Jiang City to the death. A wail of despair erupts from the crowd. How could a beast tide suddenly break out? Level C rift. That means there are high-level monsters with psychic skills comparable to his levels in command. But we're just awakened who aren't even level. Going up there is a death sentence. Run. Hurry to the underground shelters. As everyone trembles in fear, like headless chickens, trying to find cover and escape, I casually wipe the sweat from my forehead. My gaze passes through the shattered floor-to-ceiling window in the lobby, looking toward the thick black smoke rising over the north of the city. Is episode 1 already getting out of hand? I flex my wrist. My bones crack with sharp, crisp sounds. The corners of my mouth curl up in an uncontrollable arc of excitement. Deep within my dark eyes, a terrifying blood-red glow flickers. Looks like it's just time to test you guys out. See how hard my fists are now. Amid the shocked and terrified gazes of countless people, I shove my hands in my pockets, moving against the panicked crowd fleeing. Alone, striding toward the battlefield at the North City Gate. By the time I reach the northern outer wall of Jiang City, the sky has already been stained a blinding scarlet by the blood of monsters and the fire of battle. Under the 50-meter-tall alloy city wall, countless low-level monsters swarm like a black tide, crazily climbing up the wall. Ear-piercing roars and the thunder of machine guns, and the flashes of psychic abilities unleashed by the awakened intertwine in the chaos. It's like hell on earth. Hold your ground, Squad 3. Plug the gap. The Defense Force commander roars in exhaustion. Facing the relentless, fearlessly raging beast tide, the human defensive line still teeters on the brink. Right at this critical moment, a streak of purple-black shadow, like lightning, flashes onto the wall. That's Lin, the campus beauty queen. I pause my steps and look up, only to see Lin Zhu floating in midair, with the giant Frieza phantom behind her, radiating a chilling, terrifying pressure. He looked down from above with a condescending gaze. A beast tide like dark clouds pressing down on the city. There was no mercy in his eyes, only the arrogance of looking at a swarm of insignificant ants. Even a bunch of beasts are an eyesore to me. Lin Zhu let out a cold snort. She raised her hand loftily. Her fingertips rapidly pointed out whoosh. Several glaring scarlet beams shot out whoosh whoosh. The death beams were like high-powered lasers. They swept out like massive blades. Wherever the beams passed, dozens of low-level monsters climbing the wall were instantly vaporized by the terrifying heat. They didn't even have time to scream. They turned to ashen dust and scattered through the sky. So powerful. Is this the destructive power of an SS-level mythic psyche? So cool. Major Beauty Lin is like a savior. The garrison troops and low-level awakened on the wall, erupted in waves of passionate cheers. Under the shadow of death, they saw Lin Zhu as their true lifeline. Beside Lin Zhu stood a group of young people in ornate battle suits. They were followers of the Lin family. They too had awakened top-tier psyches in today's ceremony. The Jinyu Force lineup. Right now, they were slaughtering low-level monsters with great effort. And they didn't forget to let drones hype things up wildly in front of the cameras. Senior, in this battle today, your title as guardian deity is set in stone. A muscular guy, who awakened a supreme strength-based psyche, acted as a crony. Zhao Kang smashed a monster's head with one punch, while fawningly laughed. A smirk of arrogant pride appeared on Lin Zhu's lips. This is exactly the effect he wanted. He didn't just want overwhelming power overall. He demanded absolute glory and the worship of everyone. I stood at the reservist passage below the wall, watching this scene coldly. This kind of hypocrisy made me feel physically disgusted. Just as I was about to take the elevator up the wall, my attention was drawn to a figure. In the corner by the wall, it was a fat guy. He wore an ill-fitting, dirt-stained, cheap battle uniform. His hands pushed forward with all his might, condensing a faint yellow ki blast in his palms. Panting heavily, he slammed it at a black one-horned Volf climbing the wall. Fatty Wang, my eyes narrowed. He was the one who grew up with me in the orphanage, and my only true friend in this world. During today's ceremony, he awakened the S-rank Psyche Earthling Krillin. Although his attack power wasn't high, the ki blast hit the black Volf and could barely drive it back. But he fought desperately, holding the line at a defense gap, not retreating a single step. At that moment, Zhao Kang up on the wall caught sight of Fatty out the corner of his eye. Senior, look, who's that over there? Zhao Kang's eyes glinted. As he leaned toward Lin Zhu, he lowered his voice with a sinister grin. Su Yu's loser friend. An F-rank piece of trash. He actually dares to get in our way? Talk about bad luck. Following Zhao Kang's gaze, Lin Zhu glanced at Fatty. A flicker of unbridled disgust flashed in his eyes. Seeing this fat guy always made him think of me, and recall having his divine dignity offended in the awakened plaza. His dignity as a god was challenged. An F-rank piece of trash. Such an eyesore. Lin Zhu coldly spat out the words, and turned his head away, as if nothing had happened. But Zhao Kang instantly understood. He let out a vicious grin, and strode right toward Fatty. At that moment, Fatty was totally focused on handling the black Volf. Die, you fat pig, he shouted. He slammed the ki blast he'd been charging hard against the black Volf's head, finally blasting the black Volf off the wall. He slumped against the edge railing of the city wall, gasping desperately for breath. But before he could take a break, a huge force suddenly struck him from behind. Whoops, sorry about that. Fatty slipped. Zhao Kang pretended to fight off a monster, but his shoulder, with the terrifying power of an S-rank strength awakened, smashed viciously into Fatty's back. To an F-rank guy like Fatty, it was no different from being hit by a speeding semi-truck. Completely flattened. Fatty spewed a mouthful of blood. He instantly lost balance. He toppled straight over the half-human high guardrail, down into the endless, black tide of countless grimacing monsters below. Falling. Help! Fatty flailed his arms in midair, in utter despair. His shrill scream tore through the night sky. The guards on the wall cried out in alarm. But it all happened too fast. There was no time to save him. While Zhao Kang stood atop the wall, looking down at Fatty's fall with a heartless sneer. A cruel smile hovered at the corner of his lips. Linzhu floated not far away, not even turning to look. As if an insignificant fly had died. It's over. As Fatty looked down at the monster's bloody jaws, those packed, fanged beasts below, he closed his eyes in utter despair. I stood at the passageway entrance, witnessing everything firsthand. Watching Fatty spit blood and fall. Watching Zhao Qiang's cruel, twisted grin, and Lin Zhu's cold, indifferent back. An unprecedented fury nearly bursting from my chest finally exploded in that instant. You're all looking to die. The last thread of reason in my mind snapped. Tenfold Kaioken. Boom! Far at the edge of the sky, a sound like a thunderclap suddenly erupted. Everyone on the battlefield froze in that moment. Linzhu snapped her head around, her pupils shrinking in shock. All they saw was a pillar of light burning with furious dark red key flames, tearing through space, moving at a speed that defied the laws of physics. It blasted up from the reserved passageway below the wall. The reinforced alloy passage doors were crushed flat by the kickback of my leap, turned into useless scrap metal in an instant. Scrap iron. My whole body became an arc of burning, blood-red fire, tracing a blinding red parabola in midair, plummeting straight toward the center of the beast tide outside the wall, slamming directly where Fatty was about to fall. What the hell is that? Someone on the city wall screamed in terror. Under everyone's stunned gaze, that trail of blood-red energy landed precisely in the middle of the monsters beneath Fatty. Boom! Just like a meteorite slamming into Earth, a wild shockwave blasted out with waves of dark red energy, sweeping out wildly in all directions. Within a 50-meter radius, hundreds of low-level monsters didn't even have time to scream. Under that sheer, terrifying brute force, they instantly turned to a mist of blood. The ground violently shook. Dust and smoke soared skyward. When the fierce wind blew the smoke away, a massive meteorite crater appeared in the middle of the beast horde. I was gripping the unconscious Fatty by one hand, slowly standing up from the bottom of the pit. The white shirt on me billows fiercely in the strong wind, surrounded by a dark red aura like stone lion statues. There isn't a single living beast within 50 meters of me. Only piles of mangled flesh and rivers of heartblood remain. I slowly lift my head. Through the 50-meter drop, my eyes, bloodshot with extreme rage, are locked intensely onto Zhao Kong and Lin Zhu atop the city wall. Who did this? My cold voice carries without any amplification, yet drowns out all the thunder of cannons and screams on the battlefield. Like a sentence delivered by death itself, it rings out clearly in the ears of everyone atop the city wall. Above the city wall, a deathly silence lasts 3 full seconds. Everyone's gaze is fixed desperately on the area below the wall, on the figure burning with a dark crimson aura, eyes filled with utter disbelief and shock. That's Su Yulin, the department beauty's loser fiancé. Are you kidding me? Didn't he choose an F-ranked trash mind? That destructive power just now was like a meteor striking. What the hell was that? Zhao Kong stands on the edge of the wall, staring down at me now like a god of slaughter. The cruel grin on his face freezes instantly. A primal instinctive terror rises, shooting up his spine straight into his brain, making his legs tremble uncontrollably. But he quickly shakes his head forcibly suppressing his uneasiness. Impossible. He definitely used some one-time advanced life-saving artifact, or maybe burning his own lifespan. A loser who awakened a monkey. How could he possibly have this kind of power? Zhao Kong grits his teeth, shouting fiercely but inwardly timid, like he's trying to boost his own courage. Lin Zhu, not far away, also furrows his brows tightly. He stares fixedly at me, at the strange red aura enveloping me. A surge of extreme irritability rises in his heart for no apparent reason. As an SS-level mythical mind awakener, his intuition tells him that red power is incredibly dangerous. It even makes him tremble a bit. After a brief pause, the low-level beasts beneath the city wall lack the complex human fear. Instead, smelling the thick scent of blood, they fall into another frenzy. Hundreds of black wolves the size of armored vehicles, and a few tough-skinned, thick-hided sea-level ironclad beasts. Starro let out a furious roar, charging at me in the center of the pit like a tidal wave. You run! Fatty, whom I had placed in a crevice between the rocks, weakly opened his eyes and watched as the horde of monstrous beasts surged in like a tsunami from all directions. His face was full of despair. He reached out, trying to push me away. Shut up, stay put right here. Without even turning my head, I pressed down on his shoulder, my tone leaving no room for argument. Then I slowly turned around, facing the overwhelming beast tide head-on. No hand seals, no spell chanting, and no flashy spiritual manifestations. In this world filled with superpowers and magic, one chose the most primitive and purest way to fight. I crouched down slightly, slowly pulling my right fist to my waist. Tenfold Kaioken fist. The dark red aura around me suddenly surged, like a pillar of blood-red fire shooting into the sky. The ground beneath my feet, already shattered, let out a mournful creak as it could no longer bear the weight. In an instant, a terrifying depression with a 10-meter diameter caved in. The next second, I moved. Even the people on the city wall couldn't see my movements clearly. They only heard an ear-splitting sharp sound ring out through the air. Boom! The sea-level ironclad rhino leading the charge up front didn't even have time to make a cry of pain. Its skull, tough enough to withstand heavy armor-piercing rounds, like a watermelon, struck head-on by a massive hydraulic press, instantly exploded. Amidst the bloody rain spraying everywhere, I streaked through as a flash of red lightning, rushing straight into the densest part of the beast horde. This is the pure violent aesthetic unique to science. With each punch, I unleashed a violent shockwave, so fierce that it could carve visible white vacuums in the air. A dozen black wolves along the path were ripped to shreds by this powerful airflow. With a single spin kick, a wave of red energy swept out like the scythe of death, skimming low across the ground, instantly severing the lower bodies of dozens of beasts. No wasted moves. Every punch, every kick, carried absolute destructive power, crushing everything in its path. In the numb and terrified gazes of everyone, the beast tide that used to give the defense force endless headaches and required heavy firepower and crossfire to barely suppress, was nothing more than a bunch of paper toys before me. In just 30 seconds, only half a minute, the area beneath the city wall was forcefully cleared out by me, forming an absolute vacuum zone with a 100-meter radius. Within this circle, the ground was littered with severed limbs and body parts, blood flowing like a river. Those once ferocious beasts were now whimpering in fear, cowering and frantically backing away with their tails between their legs, and no longer daring to cross the red line of warning. Not a single step closer. Countless people on the city wall gulped hard. The look in their eyes was no longer that of watching a joke, but looking at a full-blown monster. How the hell is this F rank? He didn't even use any psychic abilities. He slaughtered these beasts purely with his physical strength. This guy is absolutely a monster inside a human's skin. I stopped in my tracks, casually flicking the beast blood off my fist. I took a deep breath of the blood-drenched air. The burden brought by the tenfold Kaioken caused my muscles to twitch ever so slightly, but only made the cyan blood in my veins even more excited. I bent both knees slightly and locked my gaze once again on Zhao Kang, who stood atop the city wall 50 meters above. I told you to answer my question. Boom! The ground beneath my feet instantly caved in, forming a pit over 3 meters deep. My whole body shot up like a cruise missile soaring from the ground, cutting through the air with a sharp whoosh, completely ignoring the force of gravity, crossing a vertical distance of 50 meters. A dull thud resounded. I landed heavily on top of the city wall. The heavy alloy wall was stamped out by my feet, leaving 2 deep craters. Cracks spread outwards like a spider web. Zhao Kang's face turned deathly pale with fright, and he staggered backward. But relying on his status as an S-rank awakener, and with so many eyes on him, he clenched his teeth hard and unleashed his S-rank Rikum psychic projection. His muscles bulged insanely, like rocks swelling under pressure. Stop putting on airs. I'm an S-rank power-type psychic. Even if you use some forbidden art, it doesn't change the fact you're still S-rank trash. Die! Zhao Kang roared, swinging his massive, pot-sized fists, with a howling wind, smashing them straight toward my face. So noisy, my eyes were icy cold, not even bothering to dodge. I simply raised my left hand slowly, and with a crisp smack, Zhao Qiang's so-called all-out punch that was said to punch through armored vehicles was caught easily in my palm. No matter how hard he tried, his face flushed and all his strength poured in. His fist couldn't budge forward even a millimeter. How is this possible? Finally, true despair appeared in Zhao Qian's eyes. Too weak, I didn't even bother giving him a chance to beg. My right hand turned into a blur, clamping down on his neck like an iron vice. The S-rank defensive aura Zhao Kang was so proud of, shattered like soap bubbles, under my fingertips. With one hand, I easily lifted his 200-plus pound hulking body, like picking up a chick, hoisting him into the air with ease. I squeezed my fingers tighter, watching as his face turned purple-red from suffocation. His face turned purple-red from suffocation. My voice was absolutely cold. You pushed him, didn't you? Stop. Just then, a furious feminine shout came from the side. Lin Zhu finally couldn't stand by and watch anymore. As an SS-level mythic psychic awakened, he absolutely wouldn't allow someone he just broke off his engagement with, someone he publicly humiliated as trash, to show off right under his nose, on his own turf. He floated in midair, raising his right hand high, his fingertip instantly condensing a blinding, purple, highly concentrated energy orb. The air all around warped violently from the extreme heat. Su Yu, don't think that by using some life-burning dark art to trade for a little power, you can get cocky in front of me. Lin Zhu's eyes were full of murderous arrogance. Let go of him immediately, then get on your knees and admit your faults. Or else what? Not only did I not let go, but I turned to look at Lin Zhu, who thought of himself as a god, a mocking, cold smile curling at the corner of my lips. And then, under everyone's horrified stares, I suddenly tightened my grip on Zhao Qiang's neck. Crack. A chilling, crisp, bone-breaking sound echoed at the city gate. Zhao Qiang's frantically struggling body instantly stiffened, his eyes rolling up wide showing. That once proud S-rank psychic projection disintegrated instantly like a screen losing power. Just like dumping a bag of trash, I casually threw his 200-plus pound hulking body right at Lin Zhu's feet. He collapsed to the ground like a pile of mush. Though he was still barely breathing, his cervical vertebrae had been completely crushed. For the rest of his life, he was doomed to be a useless cripple who couldn't even speak. You talk way too much. I shook my wrist, my tone calm, as if I were stating a trivial fact. The entire crowd fell into suffocating silence again. Every single Defense Force soldier and low-level awakened one was like a duck with its neck wrung, mouth wide open but no sound coming out. Su Yu, you're asking for death. After a short, dead silence, a sharp, piercing scream tore through the night sky. I lifted my eyelids to look at Lin Zhu ahead of me. She was staring at me intensely, that once proud and delicate face, now utterly twisted with rage and humiliation. Completely distorted. As a once-in-a-century SS-level myth, a mind awakened. He saw himself as above everyone else, a god, the hope for the future of River City and all of China. Just earlier, in front of everyone, he showed off his savior-like demeanor, basking in worship from all around. But now, someone he humiliated and tore up the marriage contract with in public, someone he saw as a worthless, level loser, actually crippled his man right in front of him, like squashing an ant. That stung 1,000 times more than being slapped directly in the face. Boom! With Lin Zhu's emotions spiraling completely out of control, behind him, the gigantic phantom of the frozen demon Frieza suddenly opened its eyes wide. A visible purple-black aura soared into the sky like a tornado. within a 10-meter radius, the alloy ground. At the instant it touched that aura, let out a sizzling, corrosive sound, leaving the surface pitted and scarred. Beep 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 beep! The highest grade energy detector inside the city wall defense room let out a shrill red warning alarm at that very moment. Alert! SS-class destructive energy fluctuation detected. Energy level has surpassed individual defense maximum. Get down, fall back. All troops, fall back. The defense force commander shouted hoarsely, fear brimming in his eyes. Lin Zhu, at the center of the purple storm, slowly raised his right hand. At his index fingertip, a highly compressed ball of purple energy was expanding and compressing at a terrifying speed. The surrounding air, because of the extreme heat and density, became violently distorted. Frieza's signature ultimate move, Death Energy Wave, Su Yu. Don't think that just because you use some life-burning dark magic to get a little brute strength, you can act all tough in front of me. A cruel and crazed killing intent flashed in Lin Zhu's eyes. Trash should stay in the trash can where it belongs. Take your pathetic little monkey and go to hell. The moment the words were spoken, Lin Zhu's fingertips suddenly flicked. That purple energy orb instantly turned into a purple laser piercing through the heavens and earth, carrying a terrifying aura of destruction that could annihilate anything. It came straight for my face, and so fast that it even left a lingering black vacuum trail in the air. It's over. Su Yu is doomed. The soldiers who had retreated far away closed their eyes in despair. In front of this power that could vaporize steel in an instant, how could a normal human body possibly withstand it? A fierce wind rushed at me. I stared at that death beam that could instantly kill high-level monsters. Not only did I not retreat, I didn't even blink extra. The dark red King Kai fist aura on me was as steady as breathing. Then, under everyone's incredulous gaze, I slowly raised my right hand toward that world-destroying purple beam and extended 2 fingers, index and middle finger. Boom! The blinding purple light instantly engulfed my silhouette. A violent energy storm erupted around me, vaporizing all the rubble and debris nearby. The dazzling light briefly blinded everyone. Lin Zhu lowered her arm. At the corner of her mouth, finally, a cruel and triumphant sneer appeared. She firmly believed that in this world, no one could withstand a direct strike from a godlike spiritual being with their physical body. Even if I displayed bizarre brute force just now, in the face of absolute energy suppression, there was only one outcome: total annihilation. Yet a night breeze swept through, blowing away the thick smoke and gunpowder ahead. When the scene became clear through the haze, Lin Zhu's smile instantly froze. Her pupils shrank to the size of pinpoints. This can't be possible. The smoke cleared. I was still standing firmly in place, let alone annihilation. Even that sweat-soaked white shirt of mine didn't have a single new tear, and that purple death beam that could destroy city walls was now casually held between my index and middle fingers, almost effortlessly trapped between them. The purple destruction energy was frantically struggling at my fingertips, making a harsh sizzling sound. But like a snake being grabbed by the neck, it couldn't budge forward even a millimeter. Is this the so-called godly power you're so proud of? Through the purple light jumping between my fingers, I gazed at Lin Zhu with a cold, lifeless expression. Too weak. It's honestly so dull it's boring. Just as the words fell, I suddenly applied force at my fingertips. Crack. A crisp, shattering sound echoed. That SS-level, terrifying energy wave shattered like fragile glass, crushed by just 2 of my fingers. Purple light particles scattered in the night sky like fireflies, fading completely into nothingness. No, it's impossible. I'm godlike, Tyr. How could you possibly? Lin Zhu's heart experienced violent turmoil at that moment. She instinctively wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. The dark red aura around me flashed fiercely. I didn't use any fancy movement skills. Just a pure burst of physical power from a boss. Left an afterimage where I stood, instantly covering several meters of distance, appearing before Lin Zhu like a phantom. Lin Zhu was shocked and frightened, instinctively channeling all her spiritual power. In front of herself, manifesting a thick purple-black protective aura. My face remained expressionless. No charging up, just simply raising my right hand. I flipped it and landed a clean, decisive slap. Pa! An exceptionally loud and clear slapping sound drowned out all other noises on the battlefield, echoed across the defensive city wall. Lin Zhu's SS-level defensive aura she was so proud of was shattered by my casual slap. Even weaker than paper, utterly fragile. Crash. Completely demolished. Lin Zhu let out a miserable scream. Her whole body was flung out like a severed kite, spinning a dozen times in midair, crashing hard onto the left edge of the city wall, several meters away. Half her delicate cheek instantly swelled up. 5 bright red finger marks stood out starkly. Blood overflowed from her lips. She looked absolutely miserable. Once again, the whole area fell into suffocating silence. If me soloing the damp crisis amazed them, then this scene now completely shattered their worldview and ground it into dust. An S-ranked lower-tier warrior ridiculed by the whole internet not only crushed a SS deer kill move with his bare hands, but even sent a so-called god flying with a single slap. You deserve to die. Lin Zhu clutched her swollen cheek, her hair disheveled as she staggered up from the ground, hatred almost spilling from her eyes. My gaze was icy cold. I stepped forward, preparing to finish off this conceited threat once and for all. Stop. Just then, from the sky, an extremely powerful green aura descended. Next, a man in a military coat with a stern face and a scar across his left cheek landed with a thunderous impact, like a mountain, blocking between me and Lin Zhu. Behind him appeared a figure wearing a white headscarf, in a white gravity cloak with green skin. Psychic S tier, a Namekian psychic. It was the commander of Jiang Cheng's defense forces, one of China's 10 great generals, Lei Zan. Young man, that's enough. Lei Zan crossed his arms, his sharp eyes fixed on me. Deep in his gaze, a hint of undisguised shock and fanaticism flashed. Admiration. Tonight you not only saved lives, but single-handedly resolved the damp crisis. The military will reward you accordingly. But Lin Zhu is a special protection target assigned by the highest national authorities, is on SS Deer's strategic resource for the fight against the Abyss in the future. You must not kill her today. I stopped walking, staring at the piccolo-like figure behind Lei Zan, sensing the deep, pure energy in him. I could feel that Kaioken X10 was still too much for me now. My muscles screamed with protest. Deep down, pain like tearing. With my current normal combat power, activating Kaioken by 10 against this battle-hardened S-tier commander wouldn't be a wise move. Plus, I wasn't ready to take on the entire state apparatus yet. I took a deep breath. The wild, dark red Kaioken aura on me quickly receded like a tide, restoring my calm, indifferent look. I brushed non-existent dust from my sleeve, shot a cold glance at Lin Zhu slumped on the ground. Today you're lucky. You get to keep your life. I turned away toward the edge of the city wall. Go back and wash your neck and wait for me. Next time you dare mess with me. Even if the King of Heaven protects you, I'll kill you all the same. After saying that, I leapt off the 50-meter-high city wall. I picked up the still unconscious fat guy. With just a few leaps, I disappeared into the vast night. At the same time, bang, at the Lin family's luxury villa halfway up the hill in Zhongcheng, a Ming Dynasty vase worth millions was smashed hard against the wall, shattered to pieces. An expensive marble coffee table was kicked over. The living room was a complete mess. All the servants were trembling outside the door. They didn't even dare to breathe. Useless. All of you are useless. Get out of my sight. Lin Zhu was like a madwoman, rampaging through the living room, smashing everything in sight. Her face, once stunningly beautiful, now had the entire right side swollen high. Even after using the highest grade medical serums, a clear red 5-finger mark was still visible. This was the greatest humiliation she had ever suffered in her life. As an SS-level myth, rare in 100 years, and a mind awakener, she should have been worshipped by everyone, the 9 heavens goddess adored by the whole city. But tonight, in front of all those watching, she was actually defeated by an F-class loser who crushed her ultimate move and gave her a loud slap in public. A man like that. Am I just supposed to let this go? Linju suddenly turned her head, her eyes bloodshot, clenching her teeth in rage, and roared at the middle-aged man sitting on the sofa. Zhao Kang was crippled by him. My face was slapped by him. If I can't tear that bastard Su Yu apart, I'll be haunted by this for the rest of my life. On the sofa, the Lin family head, Lin Zhenshen, looked grim. In his hand, he was slowly spinning two pure gold iron balls. They made a chilling scraping sound. Of course I won't let him go. A sinister glint flashed in Lin Zhenshen's eyes. But that old man Lei Zan has gotten involved now. The Defense Force headquarters has issued a top-level gag order, locking down everything that happened on the city wall tonight. Not only that, the military has plans to treat Su Yu as special talent and give him exceptional protection. Hearing this, Linzu widened her eyes in disbelief. Has the military lost their mind? All this for an F-class half-orc. They'd go against the Lin family for that? That's politics for you. Zuer, Lin Zhenshen let out a cold snort. Leijian has always looked down on us rich families. The power to awaken abilities. Su Yu's strange brute strength tonight just gave the military an excuse to keep us in check. If we make a move on Su Yu openly now, it's the same as going to war with the Defense Force, so let him die without anyone noticing. Linzu walked up to Lin Zhenshen. The killing intent in her eyes was almost tangible. 83 days from now is the national selection for the one-star secret realm. The secret domain exists independently from reality. No signals or monitoring get through inside. Each year, your fate is your own in there. I want him to die in the secret realm and leave nothing behind. Lin Zhenshen stopped spinning the dumbbell. A cruel smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. Great minds think alike. To make absolutely sure everything goes smoothly, I spent 100 million in cash and contacted the Gemini mercenary group through the black market. Gemini Linzu was slightly surprised. They're a pair of twin assassins, brother and sister. They awaken an exceptionally rare S-class psychic combo. Android 17 and Android 18. Lin Zhenshen stood up. He looked down at Jiang Cheng's nightscape. His tone was chilling. The key feature of android psychics is there's no energy signature inside them at all. And they have infinite stamina. That Su Yu guy, no matter what forbidden techniques he's used, his insane bursts of power can't possibly last. Against two tireless, undetectable top assassins, his monkey-like brute force style is destined to be worn down till he dies. When she heard infinite stamina, the fury in Lin Zu's eyes gradually faded. What replaced it was an extreme, morbid sense of pleasure. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Su Yu, I'd like to see how you compete with me this time. I want to watch you in the secret realm, being tortured to death slowly. Switching back to Jiang Cheng Underground Martial Arts Medical Room. Looking at Fatty in the advanced healing pod, his breathing had finally stabilized. I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. He broke more than 10 bones, and even had some organ trauma. But thanks to the quick emergency rescue, plus the advanced psychic medical tech in this world, his life was saved. This is just the beginning of settling the score. I gave a cold look at the recovery pod, then turned to the private lounge nearby. I took off my white shirt soaked in sweat and beast blood, which was torn to shreds. I turned on the shower, letting the icy water wash over my exhausted muscles. The strain from using Kaioken X10 really is insane. My muscles were all aching at that moment. If it weren't for my Saiyan physique, an ordinary F-class awakened would have died instantly the moment 10 times gravity kicked in. Just exploded on the spot? Just as I turned off the faucet and dried myself to get ready to rest, that familiar crisp sound suddenly rang in my head. Mechanical voice, ding. Host has completed a hidden achievement. First time crossing ranks and defeating F-class. Absolutely dominating SS class. Achievement rewards have been issued. Host, please check your rewards. Congratulations, host. You obtained the exclusive Saiyan God level. Premium Senzu Bean by 1. When I heard Senzu Bean, my hand froze abruptly. My pupils dilated a fraction of an inch. A surge of uncontrollable ecstasy hit me. Whoosh! A completely unremarkable green bean magically appeared in my palm. I pinched the senzu bean between two fingers, examining it closely under the lounge lights. In the eyes of the people in this world, it might look like just an ordinary bean. But, to me, someone who knows the Dragon Ball universe inside out, this thing is basically the most overpowered cheat item in the whole universe. As long as the host is breathing, eating the senzu bean instantly fully restores strength and heals any injury. It removes all negative status effects and resets the body to peak condition. Reading the system panel description, I couldn't help but smile. For other psychic awakened, senzu beans are just a last-ditch life-saving card. But as someone with Saiyan blood, to me, it's a totally broken bug exploit. Dying and reviving for breakthroughs. Triple cheat. Saiyans are called the warrior race. The scariest thing about them was never their starting power level, but their infinite evolution on the edge of death. Every time they're beaten nearly to death in battle, as long as they survive and recover, their base power multiplies, even reaching terrifying exponential growth. My regular power level right now is still just a low-class warrior. Even with Kaioken by 10, facing Leizan, a seasoned S-class veteran fighter, I still have a tough time. I gripped the senzu bean tighter, my eyes burning with intensity and excitement. But with this senzu bean, as long as I don't get taken out instantly, I can force a near-death breakthrough myself. Let my regular power level take a massive leap. I carefully put the senzu bean into the system inventory. Then my eyes fell on the table. There lay a gold-embossed entry ticket just delivered by the military. National 1-Star Secret Realm Invite Selection. The Secret Realm is a separate internal space. No signals can leak out. It's a true no-holds-barred survival elimination match. The Lin family will never swallow losing face to Jin Man. They can't do anything out in the open, so the Secret Realm selection is their best shot. I picked up the entry ticket and gently rubbed it between my fingers. The ticket crumbled to dust in my hand. Linzu Lin Genshin. I hope you'll really fork out big this time and send as many tough guys as possible. I looked out at the deep night sky and cracked a cold, crazy, arrogant smile. Don't let me get too bored. 3 days later. Jiangcheng Defense Force Base, 1-Star Secret Realm Teleport Array. As a strong spatial distortion hit, the scene before my eyes instantly changed. The once cold, high-tech military base
had vanished.
In its place was a wild, blood-drenched landscape, a massive dark red jungle. The sky was an oppressive deep purple. 2 bizarre blood-red moons hung over banners.
The air
was thick with sulfur and a tongue of blood.
This
is the test site for the national selection. The alien secret realm. By the rules of the selection, all participating awakened will be randomly teleported to the edge of the realm. We have 7 days to traverse the peril-filled jungle, battling hell beasts and other awakened, and finally reach the core tower in the center. The moment I set foot on the ground, I hadn't even had time to check my surroundings yet. An unbearable stab of danger shot up from my tailbone to the top of my head. No killing intent, no energy signature, not even the sound of breathing. But this Saiyan body of mine, with its survival instincts honed on the edge of death, sensed it. A deadly surprise attack was coming just as I powered up Kaioken X10. I didn't hesitate for a second. Saiyan blood surged at once. A violent dark red aura burst from my body like a real shield. The instant I triggered Kaioken, within 1/1000 of a second as I twisted away. Swish, swish. 2 blinding golden energy blasts arced through the air defying physics. With no warning, fired from my blind spot. Boom energy blasts grazed my shoulder and flew on, striking a 100-meter tall hill ahead. With a deafening explosion, the whole hill was flattened in a flash of golden light. The savage shockwave ripped dozens of giant trees from the earth nearby. I flipped through the air a couple of times and landed solidly. I glanced at my shirt, torn at the shoulder. My eyes turned especially sharp. I stared into the smoky treetops. You actually dodged that. Impressive. A slightly lazy, mocking young man's voice came from above the canopy. No wonder Lin family put 100 million bounty on you. Your reflexes are quite something. As he finished speaking, a boy and a girl appeared, drifting down like weightless feathers, landing slowly from the sky, blocking my way. Meanwhile, number 17 made a move as well. He appeared like a phantom in my blind spot. Both palms pushed forward. In the center of his palms, a highly concentrated golden light had already formed. The energy blast completely blocked all my escape routes. From the very start, it was a kill or be killed situation. Bang! I crossed my arms into an X, forcibly blocked number 18. That whip kick was strong enough to shatter reinforced concrete. The raging force surged through my arms and throughout my body. The dark red earth beneath my feet instantly cracked into spiderweb patterns. My whole body was pushed by this terrifying power, sliding back more than 10 meters. My arms went numb. Before I could catch my breath, number 17's energy blast, like a bolt of golden lightning, slammed right into my chest. I roared in anger. The fiery aura of the dark red Kaioken on my body burst forth with a palm strike. I clenched my right fist, and with a sonic boom, smashed straight into the energy blast. Boom! Golden light and red aura collided violently in midair. The wild energy ripples shredded every tree within 100 meters. With the impact, I was sent flying again. I crashed hard into a massive boulder. Amid the dust, I stood up holding my chest. Blood trickled from the corner of my mouth. Able to catch my energy blast barehanded, hey? Number 17 floated in midair, looking down at me. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. The Lin family's intel was wrong. This is not an F-rank weakling, with this kind of physical strength. The red power you unleashed just now was burning your life force, overdrawing your potential, right? Number 18 crossed his arms over his chest. His gaze was cold as he stared at me, as if he were looking at something already dead. Useless humans have limits to their bodies. Each tear in your muscle fibers, each shake of your organs, will only slow your movements. But we don't get tired, don't feel pain, and have limitless energy as this rankers. So what can you possibly win with? I wiped the blood from my mouth with my thumb. Not only was I not desperate, the corner of my mouth even curled into a chillingly arrogant grin. Laugh bang. Suddenly, I surged forward with my feet, turning myself into a streak of red lightning, actively charging at the two S-rank assassins. The next 5 minutes were a brutal close combat fight. I had to admit, the unique features of android minds are incredibly formidable at this stage. Even though my tenfold Zoom King authority gave me tremendous explosive power, my current base combat power is still only at M rank, facing two perfectly coordinated, limitless energy and completely unreadable S rankers. My stamina was draining at an alarming rate. Boom! Number 17 seized a moment of weakness when I was exhausted and smashed a heavy punch into my chest. Along with the audible sound of ribs breaking, I was sent flying like a cannonball, crashing through 3 towering trees in a row, and landing hard in a pool of blood. The red Kaioken aura flickered like a candle in the wind, then went out completely. Intense agony and tearing pain spread through my body. Even moving a single finger felt excruciatingly hard. It was over. Number 18 slowly walked up to me, looking down at me, and extended his index finger. A blinding golden light shone at his fingertip, aiming right at my forehead. Your body is remarkably strong, and your willpower is impressive, he said in a cold, emotionless voice. But when faced with an absolute energy gap, none of that matters. Die. But I lay at the bottom of the pit, covered in blood, staring at the golden glow pointed at my head, and suddenly couldn't stop laughing. Do you know the biggest cheat for Saiyans? I asked in a hoarse voice. What? The two assassins were stunned, their brows furrowed. I looked at them, my eyes blazing with unprecedented frenzy and ferocity. It's as long as you don't die. After a near-death revival, your strength doubles. I suddenly opened my mouth, rolled my tongue, and swallowed the green senzu bean hidden deep in my mouth. In one gulp. Gulp. The green senzu bean slid down my throat into my stomach. Buzz. Just 0.01 seconds after the bean entered my stomach, a miracle happened. A huge and incredibly pure, gentle life energy burst open in my body like a flooding river, rushing through my limbs and bones. Crack, crack, crack. Accompanied by a series of intense bone-cracking sounds. The wound in my chest, so deep that bone was exposed, healed up and scabbed over in seconds, revealing fresh, resilient skin. The broken ribs instantly reset perfectly. The body that had been drained to its limits, like a dried-up lake, was immediately overflowing with energy. No weakness at all, no side effects. My physical condition was forcibly restored to its absolute peak in a second. But this was only the beginning. In my mind, the crisp, mechanical system voice blared like heavenly music. Ding! Detected host has recovered from near death. Perfect Cyan passive triggered. Triple boss near-death breakthrough. Host's base combat power is being reconstructed. Reconstruction complete. Congratulations, host. Base combat power permanently increased tenfold. 10 times base power. This means even without using Kaioken, my normal body's strength has already reached the terrifying level of tenfold Kaioken I had before. There was no need for me to force it. After my base power multiplied 10 times, the Cyan blood in me, originally dormant due to severe injuries, exploded like a supernova. What? Facing me. Number 18's finger was still aimed at my forehead, but his cold face showed shock for the very first time. The lethal golden light at his fingertips was shattered by the invisible energy surge radiating from my body. It was crushed by sheer force. Back off. His energy poison skill is rising. Impossible. Number 17, floating in midair, let out an uncomprehending angry roar. With their android-specific energy detection, the experiment showed that I, who should have been barely alive, now had energy in my body, like an endlessly expanding black hole, instantly surpassing their system's calculation limits. A cyclone rose from the ground. The dark red earth, centered on me, formed a terrifying radial crater. Countless fragments were drawn upward by my strong aura, floating slowly against gravity. I straightened up in the pit. I exhaled a blazing breath, casually twisted my neck. My whole skeleton crackled like thunder. Every muscle, every cell cheered ecstatically, filled with that kind of a terrifying power capable of blasting a planet with a single punch. The warm-up for that force is over. I lift my head. In those pitch-black eyes, there's a cold, chilling, murderous intent. Now it's my turn. Pretending to be tough. Even if you have some trump card for instant recovery, human stamina has its limits. Let's all attack and kill him. Number 17 and number 18 exchanged glances. Both unleashed their strongest golden energy at the same time. They transformed into 2 golden lightning bolts. One on the left, one on the right. With sonic booms, they rushed at me from both sides. In number 17's hand, a massive energy wave formed, with a diameter larger than 2 meters. Meanwhile, number 18's whip-like leg brought a force strong enough to slice through the air, aimed straight for my temple. If this was 5 minutes ago, facing such a flawless, inescapable kill move, my only option would have been to take it head-on. But now it's far too slow. I stand still. I didn't even activate the Kaioken. With my base power multiplied tenfold, the moves of these 2 S-class elite assassins look so slow. It's as if I'm watching a movie at 0.5 speed. Boom, I didn't even turn around. I casually raised my Buddha hand to the left. Number 18's full-strength kick, powerful enough to shatter a mountain, was caught securely by my single hand. The massive recoil in my palm didn't even make me step back. Instead, number 18's face turned pale instantly. He felt his leg was like kicking an uncheckable divine body. Impossible. Number 18's azure pupils contracted sharply. I told you, you don't understand science at all. I smiled coldly. With my left hand gripping his ankle, I swung down brutally. Number 18 was tossed by me like a rag sack, smashed violently onto the solid rocky ground, leaving a human-shaped pit several meters deep. Blood sprayed everywhere. Number 18, die. Number 17 on the right saw this. His eyes went bloodshot. I took that massive, highly concentrated ki blast and slammed it ruthlessly against my chest. You're coming down with me. I clenched my right fist, drew power from my waist, and gathered my pure physical strength, which had surged tenfold in my base state, unreservedly into my right fist. I threw a punch directly against the ki blast. There were no flashy special effects, only extreme violence. Asterisk crack asterisk. I shattered that golden ki blast with a single punch. The momentum of my fist didn't slow down, carrying a terrifying sonic boom as it smashed heavily into No. 17's abdomen. Ooh, no! 17's eyeballs nearly bulged out of their sockets. The clothes on his back instantly exploded. The powerful force of the punch penetrated right through his body, shattering a row of towering trees behind him. He flew backward over 100 meters like a broken kite, crashing heavily onto the ground. After twitching twice, he completely lost consciousness. In just 2 moves, 2 top-tier SS-class killers who claim to have infinite energy and never tire were cleanly and completely crippled by me in my base physical state. This is the science near-death breakthrough. It defies logic. It ignores laws. It's pure combat power crushing everything. I didn't bother with the 2 men lying on the ground, their fate unknown. Instead, I slowly closed my eyes, spreading my ki across the entire alien secret realm, trying to find my next hunting target. But the moment my perception spread out, my heart suddenly jolted. In the deepest part of the secret realm, in the direction of that central high tower, there was an extremely massive evil, an utterly repulsive purplish-black aura, erupting frantically. That was the aura of Lin Zu's soul avatar Frieza. And this aura was even more terrifying than it was on the city walls a few days ago. He seemed to have broken through some kind of limit, entering an even stronger form. But what truly made my face change color wasn't Lin Zu becoming stronger, but that beneath that massive, evil purple aura, there was an extremely weak, intermittent, and familiar aura that was flickering like a candle in the wind, liable to go out at any moment. That was Fatty's ki. Fatty is in danger. I snapped my eyes open, the killing intent in the depths of my eyes gushing out like something physical. Asterisk, boom, asterisk. The dark red earth beneath my feet instantly collapsed over a large area. Without even having time to activate the Kaioken, my entire being turned into an afterimage, breaking through the sound barrier. I pulled a white wake through the air, my trajectory like an urgent missile, rushing madly toward the depths of the secret realm. Lin Zu, if you dare touch a single hair on his head. The wind howled in my ears. My eyes were fixed on the central high tower. My teeth ground together with a clicking sound. I swear I will tear you to pieces. On the dark red horizon, a wide wake, like a scar splitting the sky in two, was advancing at an unimaginable speed toward the heart of the alien secret realm. That was me breaking the sound barrier. At this moment, I hadn't even activated the Kaioken, relying solely on my base state after the tenfold surge. In physical power, I produced an ear-piercing sonic boom in the air. The gale blew my hair straight back. My eyes were filled with killing intent cold to the extreme. Meanwhile, at the center of the secret realm, at the core tower, which was a massive altar built entirely of pure obsidian, at this moment, the area surrounding this altar, which symbolized the highest honor of the realm, had turned into a true Shura field. Hundreds of top-tier awakened participating in the selection were now lying in pools of blood like dead dogs. Among them were many A-class and even S-class elites, but now, in everyone's eyes, only the deepest fear remained. So these are the so-called national elites? Truly pathetic. At the very top of the altar, Lin Zhu hovered in midair. Above his head was a secret realm core crystal, radiating a dense purple light. As the energy from the crystal continuously poured into his body, the phantom of the Frieza soul avatar behind him was undergoing a terrifying transformation. The originally small demonic body began to grow taller, muscles bulging like blocks of rock. 2 horns grew from his head, huge black curved blades like sharp swords. SS-class mythical soul avatar. Frieza, second form. Do you feel it? This is the true power of a god that stands above all living beings. Lin Zhu spread his arms and laughed wildly toward the sky. A liquid-like purplish-black pressure spread in all directions like a tsunami. The hard obsidian altar began to crack inch by inch under this pressure. And in a corner of the altar, a chubby figure was gritting his teeth, using his body to protect several heavily injured classmates behind him. It was Wang Fatty. The cheap combat suit he wore was soaked in blood. The phantom of his S-class Earthling soul avatar was so dim it looked as if it might vanish at any moment. Facing Lin Zhu's near-tangible pressure, his legs were shaking uncontrollably. But he still didn't take a single step back. Wang Fatty, if I remember correctly, you're that trash Su Yu's best friend. Lin Zhu glanced down at him condescendingly, a cruel and playful smirk curling on his lips. That piece of garbage was lucky enough to hide until now. In that case, I'll start by carving you up. Let the whole world see the fate of those who oppose me, Lin Zhu. Lin Zhu slowly raised his right index finger. A highly concentrated purple energy ball at his fingertip was expanding rapidly. Run, quick, run. Fatty shouted desperately to the classmates behind him. Then he thrust both hands above his head, exhausting the last bit of ki in his body, to condense an extremely weak yellow ki blast. A primitive destructo disc appeared, attempting a final struggle. The parlor tricks of an ant. Lin Zhu gave a cold laugh. The energy ball at his fingertip turned into a beam of destruction and fired downward with a roar. At that critical moment, asterisk boom, asterisk a dark red meteor, like an outer space meteorite, with an utterly domineering posture, slammed onto the altar from the horizon in an instant. A violent shockwave rose from the ground, directly knocking the purple beam fired by Lin Zhu forcibly aside. It crashed into a mountain hundreds of meters away, instantly leveling it to the ground. The dust cleared, revealing a figure in a tattered white shirt, surrounded by a violent, burning dark red aura. Like an unshakable demon god, he stood in front of Fatty. You... brother you? Fatty's eyes widened, tears of wild joy and disbelief instantly gushing out. Su Yu. In mid-air, Lin Zhu's pupils shrank suddenly, his face turning extremely grim. You're actually not dead? What were those 2 useless Gemini twins doing? You'll be joining them down there soon. I slowly raised my head. With the 10-fold base combat power stacked, the load from the Kaioken made my muscles, displaying an almost explosive intensity from those pitch-black eyes. The killing intent had already solidified into something tangible. Arrogant monkey. You think that by defeating 2 defective SS levels, you have the right to stand before me? Professor Lin Zhu let out an angry, mocking laugh. Behind him, the second form Frieza Phantom let out a deafening roar. Open your damn eyes. Look carefully. I'm in my second form now. My combat power has already surpassed the 1 million mark. Die before I even finished my words. Lin Zhu's figure instantly vanished. The very next second, he was already above my head. That thick and powerful tail cut through the air with a sonic boom. Like a purple steel whip, it lashed fiercely at my temple. Too slow, my eyes narrowed sharply. My body dipped down slightly. My right fist swung upward, trailing a ring of white shockwaves, and landed hard on Lin Zhu's swinging tail bang. Fist and tail collided, erupting in a deafening metallic crash. A violent shockwave blasted a thick layer off the surrounding obsidian ground. What? The Lin Zhu let out a startled cry. He felt that this attack hadn't struck flesh, but a body as unbreakable as a god. The violent recoil numbed half his body. I told you, you know nothing about a Saiyan's power. I didn't give him any chance to catch his breath. Exploded forward with my foot, and it appeared right in front of him, almost teleporting. A sweeping torrential punch, shrouded in dark red energy, rained down furiously on Lin Zhu's defensive energy. Every single punch carried the devastating force of tenfold power-up, beating Ling Zhu back in midair, one blow after another. Cracks even started to appear all over his protective aura. Damn it, you're just a lowly half-beast. Lin Zhu was beaten so badly he couldn't fight back at all. His arrogance and humiliation exploded completely. He realized that in hand-to-hand combat, the fighting skills he'd always been proud of were being thoroughly suppressed by this monkey. Since you like playing the hero so much. A flash of vicious cunning passed through Lin Zhu's eyes. He took a heavy punch from me head-on, and used the recoil to instantly pull hundreds of meters away. But instead of aiming at me, he suddenly turned his head. Both index fingers are spread apart, aiming unwaveringly downward. At the unsuspecting fat guy and those severely injured fighters, continuous death beams. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Dozens of crimson lasers shot down like a dense storm, pouring down on the fat guy below. Each beam is powerful enough to pierce through a mountain peak. Lin Zhu, you're courting death. My eyes are wide with rage. With the fat guy's body, even the slightest scrape would vaporize him instantly. There's absolutely no time to hesitate. I forcefully reverse the raging energy inside me, giving up the chase. My whole body turns into a streak of red lightning, and I dash straight in front of the fat guy. A gut-wrenching, piercing sound rings out. Even though my body is enhanced to 10 times combat strength, and already tough as iron, against the SS-level mythical mind, under a full-power barrage of piercing attacks, I still can't fully withstand them. A few blinding sprays of blood suddenly erupt from my shoulder, abdomen, and thigh. I grunt deeply. The tremendous impact throws me hard into a pit of shattered rocks behind me. Blood quickly stains the ground red. The dark red Kaioken aura flickers twice, wounded as I am, and finally extinguishes, powerless. The terrifying purple aura of Frieza's second form crushes me like 100,000 mountains, making it impossibly difficult even to stand. Yujie and the fat guys scramble to the edge of the pit, staring at the bloody holes in me, and break down, crying uncontrollably. Why did you get in the way? Forget about me. Lin Zhu towers above midair, looking down at me as I kneel in the rubble, bleeding from my mouth, and lets out a chilling, crazed laugh. See it now? Su Yu, this is the weakness of trash like you. You think brute force alone makes you a god? In the face of my divine power, you're nothing but a beaten-down stray dog, barely hanging on to life. Lin Zhu slowly descends from midair, stopping about a dozen meters above the ground. She looks at me, furious, but still pinned down by her overbearing aura. The brutality in her eyes reaches its peak. He licks his lips and turns his gaze to the trembling fat guy nearby. Su Yu, aren't you always about loyalty? Aren't you always playing the hero? Lin Zhu's lips curl up into the cruelest smile imaginable. Then I'll be merciful and let you watch with your own eyes how your best brother gets crushed into pulp by me. As soon as he finishes speaking, an invisible telekinetic force, like a giant hand, instantly grabs the fat guy's neck, pulling him forcefully up into the air. The fat guy lets out a painful scream. Invisible telekinesis feels like an iron giant's grasp, clamping tightly around his neck, lifting his 200-plus-pound body, and suspending him helplessly over 10 meters above. The crushing pressure makes his face immediately turn purple-red. His entire skeleton creaks under the telekinetic force, emitting a gut-churning crunching sound. Fat guy, my eyes are wide with rage. I desperately try to stand up, but to protect him, I took a barrage of death beams head-on, plus the severe strain from tenfold Kaioken. My muscle fibers are torn up all over. The second form, Frieza's terrifying aura, feels like a mountain crushing my back. Every struggle brings agonizing pain. Don't struggle, Su Yu. Enjoy the show prepared just for you. Lin Zhu floats in the air, with a twisted smile of delight on his lips. He doesn't even use his hands, just moves his eyes slightly. The fat guy in midair is yanked outward by an invisible force. His limbs are forced apart in a humiliating spread eagle position. Didn't you keep saying, potential is more important than God's? Didn't you claim to value loyalty above all else? Linzu sneers.
His right index finger
Slowly lifts up. A blinding crimson glow shines from his fingertip. I'm going to let you see for yourself now. Against absolute divine power, the friendship you pride yourself on is utterly worthless. It's a slender, yet terrifyingly hot red laser that blasts instantly from Linzu's fingertip. He doesn't aim straight for a vital spot, but instead pierces Fat Guy's right shoulder with precision. Fat Guy screams in agony. Ordinary F-level awakeners are barely tougher than regular people. This kind of high-temperature piercing torture makes his body convulse with pain. Tears and snot stream uncontrollably. Stop it, Linzu. If you've got guts, come for me. My eyes are bloodshot. Fingernails dug deep into the hard obsidian floor. Blood oozes between my fingers. Don't worry, you're next. The smile on Linzu's face turns even more vicious. Her fingertip taps again. 2 more beams pierce Fat Guy's left leg and right arm respectively. It hurts? Li Shay, help me. The intense pain completely shatters this 18-year-old's mental defenses. Fat Guy struggles desperately in midair. Blood drips down from his wounds. Onto the altar below. He looks at me, his eyes filled with overwhelming fear of death. Watching his brother, who grew up with him, tortured in midair like a rag doll, feels like my heart is gripped by a giant hand. The ripping pain makes it almost impossible to breathe. Linzu, I swear, I will tear you to pieces. My voice, raspy and shaking with fury, every word squeezes out from between my teeth. Tear you to pieces? You? While you lie there like garbage? Linzu acts like she's heard the funniest joke. He yawns, bored. His expression turns utterly cold. Game over. Next time, pick a better star spirit to reincarnate with. All right. Garbage like you won't even be wanted in your next life. The crimson glow at Linzu's fingertip bursts out, becoming a basketball-sized, concentrated death energy sphere. Yujie and Fat Guy seem to finally realize.
He looks at me, barely hanging on.
His face, once twisted by fear, now miraculously calms down. He endures the pain, and with a faint voice, shouts one final message to me. Stay alive and avenge me. The crimson death energy sphere instantly swallows the Fat Guy in midair. The blinding red light illuminates the entire dark purple secret realm. Heaven leaves no last words. Not even a whole corpse remains. Under the full blast of the SS-level mythical mind, the Fat Guy's body is vaporized in extreme pain and despair. Instantly turned to gas, scattered as glowing dust across the sky. A few drops of warm blood drift down from mid-air and gently splash onto my cheek. That was the last trace Fatty left in this world. The very last bit of his existence. At this moment, the wind stopped howling. The entire exhausted central altar fell into an eerie, deathly silence. Linzu brushed his hands off in disgust. He looked down at me arrogantly from above, as if he had just crushed an insignificant bug. It's finally quiet. Now it's your turn. Linzu hadn't finished speaking when his voice abruptly cut off. He furrowed his eyebrows. A hint of suspicion flashed across his face as he looked down at the pit of shattered stones. Because he realized that I, who had just been struggling and roaring furiously, had suddenly quieted down. My head hung low. Messy black hair covered my eyes. I knelt motionless in the rubble pit. Even my once heavy breathing had completely stopped. Was I scared senseless? Linzu snorted coldly. But what he failed to notice was, around the altar, those severely injured and unconscious students nearby were being slowly pushed away by an incredibly oppressive, invisible force. How dare you? A raspy, guttural voice that sounded like it came straight from the depths of hell slowly echoed through the dead stillness of the ruins. My body began to tremble violently out of control. It wasn't out of fear, nor was it due to pain, but because some wild power buried deep in my genes was tearing apart the chains of reason that were about to burst this body. Stop your tricks. A sense of unease rose deep in Li Zu's heart. An intense shiver surged through him without warning. He abruptly raised his hand, ready to finish me off right then and there. But I ignored him. I looked at the back of my hand, at that single drop of Fatty's blood. The image of him being pierced through by a beam of light hovered in my mind over and over again, along with his desperate screams mid-air. Ever since I was little, in this cold world, he was the only one who would secretly slip me his saved-up rations. The only one who, when everyone laughed at me, would stand in front to protect me. But now he's dead. Not even ashes remain. My last thread of sanity finally snapped. You killed my friend. I suddenly threw up both hands, gripping the hard obsidian in front of me with all my strength. The ground itself cracked open from the sheer force. Blood streamed out. With a sudden, deafening rumble, the sky across the entire alien secret realm turned pitch black in an instant. Countless thick, dark red lightning bolts danced like frenzied silver snakes, tearing the heavens apart madly. The earth began to tremble violently. With me at the center, the indestructible obsidian altar began to crack wildly like a spider web. Giant fissures spread in all directions. What's going on? Lingzhu discovered in horror that the mythic level pressure she took pride in was, amidst this sudden and terrifying strange noise, being forcibly torn to shreds. An extremely terrifying and oppressive aura rose like a materialized hurricane, soaring into the sky from within my body. The surrounding boulders, weighing several tons, completely defied the laws of physics and began to float upward into the air. Unforgivable. I slowly raised my head. That originally calm face was now completely distorted. Unforgivable! Accompanied by a violent roar that seemed to tear vocal cords and shatter the soul. The Saiyan rage accumulated to the extreme within me, completely exploded at this moment. Asterisk boom, asterisk. A blinding, dazzling pillar of golden light shot into the clouds, instantly illuminating the dark sky of the entire secret realm, as bright as day. My originally black hair stood on end under the wash of violent energy, instantly turning into a blinding, dazzling pure gold. The violent golden flames, like a fire reaching the sky, carried a high temperature and pressure that destroyed everything, turning all debris within hundreds of meters into fine powder instantly. The legendary Super Saiyan Level 1 has descended. As the gale dissipated, I slowly stood straight up from the deep pit. Golden flames burned fiercely around my body, making crackling sounds of energy explosions. I tilted my head slightly and looked at the completely stunned Lin Zhu in midair. Those were a pair of eyes without a trace of human emotion. Extremely cold emerald green eyes. Lin Zhu, who was high and mighty just a second ago, at the moment of making contact with these eyes, felt her heart being squeezed hard by an invisible giant hand. In the depths of her soul, a powerful tremor surged up, making her want to kneel and beg for mercy. Now I look at her, my voice cold and without a trace of warmth. Now it's your turn to experience true despair. The golden light was like the rising sun, completely dispelling from the one-star secret realm, that oppressive dark red. I floated quietly in midair, surrounded by burning, violent golden flames. Every wisp of overflowing energy triggered a series of fine sonic booms in the air. In those emerald green eyes, one could no longer find the human gentleness and music that once belonged there, leaving only absolute coldness and endless killing intent. 50 meters away, Lin Zhu's originally 10-meter tall second form Frieza Phantom, under the pressure of the golden flames, unexpectedly began to tremble uncontrollably and violently, as if it had encountered its natural predator. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Lin Zhu snapped back from her extreme horror, her distorted face filled with madness and jealousy. You're just class trash. A loser who couldn't even keep his fiancée. How can you unleash pressure stronger than mine? She screamed shrilly, clapping her hands together above her head. The secret realm core crystal above the altar was forcibly extracted by her, turning into a massive stream of purple energy that flooded madly into her body. I am S-class. I am a future god. Die, you lowly demi-human. Blood flowed from Linzu's eyes. She squeezed out every bit of psychic power in her body, without reservation, condensing a sphere above her head, a supergiant destruction energy ball over 50 meters in diameter. That purple-black energy sphere was like a falling dead star, carrying a terrifying aura that could destroy the entire secret realm. As it smashed down toward me, blotting out the sky, the surrounding students, who were heavily injured and on the ground, closed their eyes in despair. Under an area attack of this level, even the aftershocks would be enough to leave them without a trace of bone. However, facing this strike that seemed like the apocalypse, I merely raised my right hand expressionlessly. No charging up, no dodging. I just reached out a hand, fingers spread, meeting that giant sphere of death energy. Asterisk bang! Asterisk, a deafening roar echoed through the heavens. Under the shocked and horrified gazes of everyone, that destruction energy sphere, which could have leveled an entire mountain range, was actually held in mid-air by my single hand. Violent purple energy raged wildly in my palm, trying to consume me, but it simply could not break through that seemingly thin layer of golden flames. How is this possible? Linzu's ultimate move that she took pride in was caught with one hand. Her psychological defense collapsed completely at this moment, and she backed away repeatedly. What kind of monster are you? Monster? My emerald green eyes watched her coldly. I clenched my fingers suddenly. Asterisk crack. Asterisk, that giant death energy sphere, like a fragile balloon, was crushed directly by my hand. A rain of purple light poured down from the sky, like a grand and desolate meteor shower, announcing the end of a myth. Now, it's my turn. Before my voice could dissipate in the air, I had already vanished from the spot. There wasn't even time for a sonic boom to ring out. Linzu only saw a flash of golden light, and a palm like a steel pincer had already tightly gripped her throat. Linzu's pupils dilated instantly. Her second form, Frieza protective aura that she took pride in the face of Super Saiyan power, was even more laughable than a layer of tissue paper. I lifted her into mid-air with one hand. Golden flames scorched her skin, making a sharp sizzling sound. Don't you like being high and mighty? Don't you like ruling over people's lives? I looked at her, at that face distorted by suffocation and fear, my voice devoid of mercy. In the face of absolute power, the divine power you are so proud of isn't worth a damn? Let me go. Linzu slapped my arm desperately, but her attacks hitting my body didn't even count as an itch. When Fatty was begging you for mercy, did you let him go? A flash of violent intent crossed my eyes. I clenched my left fist, carrying violent golden flames, and slammed a heavy punch into her abdomen. Linzu violently spat out a large mouthful of blood mixed with organ fragments. The Frieza psychic phantom behind her let out a shrill scream. It was actually by this one punch of mine, directly shattered with massive cracks. But this was far from enough. I released my grip on her throat, and the moment her body was about to fall, a whip kick, like a battle axe from above, slashed heavily into her shoulder. Asterisk crack. Asterisk, the sound of breaking bones was crisp to the ear. Linzu was like a purple meteorite, smashing heavily onto the obsidian altar. Created a massive pit over 10 meters deep. One-sided slaughter. This isn't a battle between equals at all. It's a Super Saiyan, launching a dimension-reducing attack on so-called gods. I slowly landed on the edge of the pit. Looking at the bottom, I saw someone covered in blood, with hair completely disheveled. A woman who no longer had a trace of arrogance. Her spiritual core was on the verge of collapse. Su, you can't kill me. Linzu struggled to crawl backward. The deepest fear finally showed in her eyes. I'm a nationally protected SS level. If you kill me, the Lin family will never let you go. The military won't let you go either. Facing death, she's still trying to threaten me with these ridiculous things. I stared at her with a blank expression. My hands slowly came together at my waist. A brilliant blue light quickly formed and compressed in my palms. This was my first time in this world, using that ultimate move etched deep in the soul of a Saiyan. The green-blue light lit up the entire pit, The terrifying energy fluctuation made the surrounding space violently distort. No, don't, Lingzhu sensed. A mortal danger powerful enough to utterly erase her. She screamed in desperation. Golden aura and blue energy orb sparkled together. In my emerald eyes flashed the agonizing scene of Fatty's death. Ki blast. I suddenly thrust my hands forward, releasing a huge, sky-piercing blue energy beam. With terrifying force that could crush anything in its path, shot straight at Lingzhu at the bottom of the pit. Right as the blue energy beam was about to engulf Lingzhu in that 1,000 second. From her chest, there was a sudden, intense spatial fluctuation. An ancient golden scroll appeared and shattered mid-air, turning into a spatial black hole. Right before the Kamehameha hit her body, forcefully sucked Lingzhu inside. The roaring blue beam lost its target, piercing through the entire obsidian altar, carving an unfathomably deep, kilometer-long abyss across the secret realm. As the light faded, I stood at the edge of the abyss. The golden aura around me slowly gathered. My black hair hung down again. A spatial teleport scroll, huh? I coldly stared at the spot where Lingzhu vanished. The Lin family truly spent big to protect their SS-level prodigy. They really spared no expense. A spatial scroll of that level. There aren't 3 in all of China. But so what? That Kamehameha I just launched, though it didn't directly hit her body. The terrifying energy shockwave had already completely shattered her spiritual core. Now Lingzhu has not only lost all her power, but she can't even awaken again. She fell from her once mysterious, lofty status, reduced to someone not even as good as an average person. For someone so arrogant like her, it's far more painful than death. I turned around and walked to the corner of the altar. There, a dark red bloodstain was Fatty's only trace left behind. I squatted down, picked up a handful of soil stained with blood, and carefully placed it in my pocket. Fatty, I've avenged you halfway. The rest of the debt I'll pay back, with interest, one by one. I looked at the dark purple sky, silently making a vow in my heart. System. I remember there's a way to resurrect the dead in this world. Right? I asked in my mind. Ding. Host permissions updated. Main quest module activated. Main quest issued. Find the 7 wish balls scattered around the globe. Dragon Ball quest reward. Summon Shenron. Grant any one wish, including resurrecting souls that haven't fully faded. After hearing the system's reply, a glint finally appeared in my dark eyes. Wait for me, brother. I stood up, looked around. The core area of the secret realm was now ruined. Those awakened who survived were all kneeling on the ground, looking up at me with reverence, as if I were a god. That day, the National Special Selection Tournament ended. No SSS-level god reached the top. Only a much-mocked, level lower warrior used pure brute force to utterly shatter the divine blossom.